Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Lucas's Diary. This is episode number 4, technically. Uh, hope that everybody is doing well. I know it's been a few days since I've uploaded. I've been super busy and on the go. Um, so I want to discuss some things, just kind of journal entry technically. Uh, Over the last few days, I've been going back and rereading my journal entries from the sort of the start of the year, so probably February, March, and up until now. Obviously, I haven't read my last 2 weeks worth of entries because, well, they're still pretty fresh and I know what they're about. Um, and so the one thing that I want to discuss is while rereading these journal entries, I happened to realize that I was turning into somebody that I wasn't proud of, doing things that I wasn't proud of. And sometimes people can have an influence on you. But even then, it the decisions that you make are still on you, good or bad. If you make a choice, you made the choice. Nobody made that choice. So I was not happy with happy with the version of myself that I was becoming. So I want to talk about this a little bit in regards to this. So getting into this just a little bit, trying to figure out how to word this properly. Um, so for I have this moral, I guess it could say it. Maybe that's the right term. I don't know. I can't always English. uh, Most people who drink typically make the decision to not drive, which most of the time that is me as well. But I noticed in some key parts of my life during the time that I was losing myself and not taking care of myself and doing things to appease others and make other people happy because you don't want to upset them, want to avoid confrontation in any way, especially when they're selfish. And if they don't get their way and they can't take no for an answer, they turn into a rat. Um, and so that's kind of how I've been all my life, is doing things to appease other people and make them happy. And in the end, it just ends up with me getting hurt or me turning into a version of myself that I can't stand. A person that I can look in the mirror and I cannot stand to see. Um, so even as somebody that um, I'm typically not someone who likes to even take a sip of alcohol and drive ever, for no reason at all. I always make sure that I have somebody with me who can drive if I've taken a sip of alcohol. Mainly, I make sure John's with because, well, I don't really trust many people driving my car. That's just how it is. I happen to do some things that I wasn't proud of. Um, Things like where I would drink, even if it's just one beer or a sip of beer, and I would drive. I'm gonna get into that a little bit, and no, I'm not proud of it. There's no excuses for it either. Um, and I know for a fact that I'm not proud of it. Some of the people around me are not proud of it, and I can definitely tell you that my guardian angels up there above are also not proud of me for doing it. They know that I'm better than that, and I know that I'm better than that. Here's the thing. So during those times that I would drink, I would be offered a place to stay or a place to sleep for the night. Listen, there are some people that have trauma, and sometimes trust issues can be hard to come across. And trauma is nobody else's but yours. But the point I'm getting at here is that um trying to force somebody to step out of their comfort zone so that you can get your way is not okay. And really, you're not forcing them, but you're putting up a really bratty argument, like you're some spoiled brat who gets your way and cannot take no for an that's kind of the way where you eventually just give in because it's too much mentally and so on. So as someone who's been essayed a few times throughout their life, um I don't generally like staying the night at anybody's house. I don't care how well I know you. Chances are I will not stay at your house. Um, in reality, like, you really just can't trust anybody. Um, some of the people in my life are like, I can't say some of the people in my life, but people that do these kinds of things, I guess you could say. Um, Sometimes when you find out that somebody in your family is spending the rest of their life in prison for doing this exact thing that happened to you really genuinely just don't know somebody. You could know them for 10 years and you still don't know the deep, darkest thoughts or secrets, which is scary, to be honest. But you can't trust anybody, not fully. And it's hard to, especially when you're somebody who has been a state. Um, as a child and teen growing up, I wouldn't even spend the night at people's houses, friends' houses, cousins, nothing like that. And if I did, it's because my parents were in charge and would make me do those things. Um, and really at that age, you really don't get any transportation. And more into my teens, I had a bicycle as my transportation, but there are curfews. Uh, your parents give you curfews, and I don't know if it's still a thing, but I know that when I was growing up, if you were a certain age, you weren't in the house by a certain time, you got in trouble with the law. They would pick you up and take you home, and that's not something that beating your ass for. So as somebody who's essayed, I just don't has been essayed. I do not stay at people's houses overnight, and if I do, I'm staying awake the whole night because I'm gonna be aware of my surroundings the whole time. Um, and generally, like during that time, my anxiety is so high that I'm probably sending myself into panic attacks or at least extreme anxiety. Generally, I'm not even comfortable going to somebody's house at my age now and spending the night. There's a handful of people that I trust, very small handful as well, sleeping in the same home with them. And I can count on my hands how many people that is. My my brother, John, my grandma, and my bonus grandparent. 5 people that I know on that deep of a level to feel comfortable and safe enough to sleep in the same home that they're in, even if it's at their house. Um, and so where I'm getting at, partly with this is also that, like, even at my age now, like, if I go to your house, I'm sorry, I'm not having you come and pick me up. That is something I am not comfortable with, and I probably never will be either parts, spending the night at people's houses or going to people's houses where I don't have a way out if I need one, right? So offering to come and pick me up, to come and hang out for a little bit at your house, especially when you live, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours away. Uh, I need to have my car so that if something happens that upsets me, makes me uncomfortable, makes me question whether or not I'm safe, I need to have a way out. Yes, that's probably an overthinking, thing, but I would rather overthink things like that and make sure that I'm safe. Because again, you cannot trust people in this world. Is crazy, and it's just how I am, and I know my trauma plays a big part of that, and that's okay. It's how I cope, and it's what I'm comfortable with. One thing I want to state is to never step out of your comfort zone for anybody to please them. If you're not ready to step outside of that comfort zone, do not do it. Um, was a couple of months ago that I went to Eureka Springs, and most of that time I was awake. Um, Sleeping is just not my thing when I'm around people. People that I don't know very well and on that kind of level. But I had a really bad habit where like had a habit where I would drink a beer or two, sometimes more, and uh and drive home because of the feeling of uncomfortability and not feeling safe. I'm not proud of this and I never will be, but it is something I will never do again. Um, I haven't done it for a couple of months. And in fact, I really don't even drink that much anymore. It's been almost 2 months since I've had, I'd say I've had more than one beer. If I do have a drink, typically it's when me, John, and my grandma are going out to a restaurant. I'm like, I kind of want to have a beer or two. First off, I always have somebody to drive me, or to drive if I choose to drink when going out. But then I just had a really bad habit where I was doing that. Sometimes I would drink more. I would wait a little bit before I would drive. But here's the thing. Um, the last time that I did this, I made a promise to God, to my father, to my grandpa, to myself, most importantly to myself, that I would never do it again. Even if it was a sip of alcohol. If I like, I might feel comfortable driving 12 hours after a sip of alcohol, but mainly and preferably, I would rather not take a sip of alcohol and drive for at least 24 hours. Um, that's just the way I was raised. You don't drink and drive. And like I said, I'm not proud of the version of myself that I was turning into. I'm actually extremely disappointed and just kind of disgusted with that what I was doing then. Um, and for a little while, I had expressed that I wouldn't drink and go over to people's houses, and they would explain, well, you could either stay or you could wait a few hours for it to leave your system. Well, I had expressed that I made a promise to my dad and to myself and to the man upstairs that I wouldn't drink and drive. And they kept saying, well, you can wait a couple hours so you can sober up. The alcohol is still in your system. So no, it's still drinking and driving. In my opinion, it is still drinking and driving. I don't care if you had 5 beers and are sober or you feel sober 5 hours later. It's kind of like when you get put under anesthesia, you're not supposed to operate heavy machinery for at least 24 hours. And that's how I feel about alcohol. I will never do that again, not for anybody ever. Not even I don't care if people are crying because they aren't getting their way. If you're going to do that, you won't be a part of my life in the first place, especially if you're trying to pressure me into doing something that I outright told you I was not comfortable with. I'm just kind of covering like where I noticed that I started losing myself and started becoming a person that I didn't recognize and doing things that I generally wouldn't do. Um, and so the next thing that I'm going to talk about kind of goes back to like where I did start, losing myself, or some of the things that like I noticed that I either stopped doing or wasn't doing, right? So I used to go to church every Sunday. I'm getting back into it now. We started at a church last week. If you didn't see my last diary um episode, go back and check that out. I'll put the link in the description. Oops. And I'll also put it up here if it will let me. But I talk about how that church experience went. We had tried a different church to try to be closer to home. I'm just going to keep going where I've been going. I went today. Technically, it's yesterday now that I'm filming this video. And I went, and I always leave with my spirits so high and so crazy, the kind of energy that we received coming in today, and people just not realizing that they hadn't seen us for a while, and they were just so happy and excited to see that we were back. It was the warm welcome. Definitely makes you appreciate things like that. Um but yeah, I used to go to church, and probably back in April or May, end of April, going into May, I just kind of quit going. We all kind of quit going. But if I quit going, like if I wasn't going, my grandma wouldn't, have a ride. Because at the time she did still live in a nursing home. And if John and I didn't go, then she didn't either. Um, and so like that was something that I stopped doing. And now as I like am trying to get back into doing things that I love, like I quit um doing YouTube for myself. Um and I quit going out and taking like photos of my bald knobber buddies. And I just recently got the okay from a tribute who does Elvis in town to go and take some photos and show if I want to. So I'm super stoked for that. To be able to do that, it's going to be a good time. Putting that stuff together. Like I'm, I've been promoting for the Bald Knobbers, I think, for about 3 years now, and going to like putting their promotion videos together is one of my favorite things to do throughout the year. And I'm working on their vintage show one. But anyways, getting back to topic, uh, I quit doing all of that, and going out and do my photos, going to church, um, doing things that would be considered taking care of me, and going to church was something that lifted my spirits up, made me feel more positive, and like, you know, that I would leave even a better person. We'd go over like a certain pastor would do his thing, and he always makes you think like, how can you do better tomorrow, or even in that moment, what can you do to be better? Um, so I'm somebody who needs to have a schedule. I have extreme ADHD, extreme OCD, and I have an anxiety and a panic disorder and just all sorts of stuff, right? So I have to have a schedule. If I do not have a schedule, I get overwhelmed. I have high anxiety, high stress levels, and I get overwhelmed like so bad that like I will I will like I will fall into a depression. Depression as far as where I will shut down. I won't leave my house, especially if my anxiety is high. Because if my anxiety is high, so is my social anxiety. And it'll be higher, even though that's something that I've been working on and getting a lot better with. But sometimes we have setbacks. We take steps backwards and then we take double the steps forward. Um, and so, like, like when I'm planning to go do YouTube videos, like all this week, I've got shows that I'm going to and plan to vlog and hopefully try to get some promo videos in and some photography in for them as well. I've already got the permission to do so at these places. So yeah, just making sure that I get getting back into things and having a schedule is so much better for me. Like when I was going out and doing these paranormal videos, it would kind of be last minute. Sometimes it would be uncontrollable, but it'd be the spur of the moment. Like there was a schedule, but nobody was going by it. So I just kind of gave up because I noticed that the only one that was trying to really stick to it was me. And going out and having these, especially when you have to drive a few hours, like having that stuff planned out is kind of nice, because if you don't feel like driving back, then you could book a hotel room or whatever it is and get some rest before going back home. But uh like not having a schedule for things, having it on my schedule to what I need to do for the following week, yeah, it just stresses me out, and not in a healthy way either. But I also realized that my anxiety and my social anxiety being so high because of like not having a schedule was part of the reason why I shut down and just kind of quit going to church, because I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't feel comfortable leaving my house. And then I realized that I was trying to make other people happy, and myself, I couldn't say no, or I wouldn't say no when I should have, regardless of the consequences or the repercussions. Like, you can say no any point. The heck with what everybody else says or reacts or whatever. Like, you have to take care of yourself. You're in charge of making you happy. You're in charge of taking care of you. And for a little while, I wasn't very good at making myself happy or taking care of myself. And like I said, now I say the heck with everyone else, take care of me and take care of others, but in a healthy way. Taking care of others, because you should always put yourself first. But I've got to the point where if you disturb my peace, my energy, or make me feel like I have to walk uh, on eggshells around you to avoid a fight or an argument, I just won't have you around. Because that's not how relationships in general work, whether it be friendships, family, or anything. You should always have boundaries. Always set boundaries. And if people disrespect those boundaries, get rid of them, because that is probably one of your one of the top red flags, in my opinion, anyways. One thing I can say is like mind over matter. Do not give in to peer pressure. Any choice that you make, whether it be a good decision or a bad decision, that's on you. Um, Nobody else made those choices, no matter what. Like you should have power over your choices and not let other people influence those either. In any way. So, and even then, like I even stopped going to the ball numbers for a little bit. I think I went a month, maybe even a little more, where I just skipped it because I was super emotionally, mentally, physically drained and depressed. And therapy, church, and the ball knobbers are like my safe spaces outside of my trusted support system, which I guess in a way that includes them too. And excuse me. Church and the ball knobbers were kind of like my medicine for, like they were kind of like my secondary version of therapy, or it would also like help with my social anxiety because like you go to church and you socialize with other people, or you go to the ball knobbers and you socialize with a bunch of people as well. Just a lot of times I try to get to talking with people that come to the show and just kind of see where they're from and stuff. So it's um kind of helps with the social anxiety aspect of things. So like, uh, yeah, I mean, it's a thing that two things that I do to get me out of that shell and not be so shy or so like anxious all the time. I feel like, in the last few months, several months really, probably the last 6 months, maybe 5 or 6 months, where I took 20 steps back, but now I'm taking double the steps forward to be better. I want to be better than who I was 2 months ago. I want to be better than the person that I was yesterday. There's always room for growth and improvement, in my opinion. I also stopped like going to the gym and eating healthy, so like my body feels like crap now. Like, I'm actually getting back into that as well. I went to the gym Monday through Thursday this past week. Friday and Saturday, I didn't have time to go. Actually, what did I do yesterday? Friday was just a busy day, so I was just physically and mentally drained. Yesterday I still got my exercise. I guess my exercise in. To be fair, the Saturday I got my exercise in by cleaning the house up a bit and just kind of making sure I'm sweating and still like moving around and doing stuff. So I was still getting exercise on the Saturday, and then Sundays I want me to be my day off. So then, I have one day of like rest and recuperation, but also to plan YouTube videos out and get them made as well and edited and stuff. So, um, kind of like a day where I'm doing a relaxing self-care day instead of a self-care day where I go out and do, stuff to help me also. Like, my body feels like crap, or it had been feeling like crap for a while, so bad that like I actually have to have a colonoscopy and endoscopy coming up just to make sure my insides are good because of like how much pain and how many like infections I've even gone through, like bacterial infections. Um, and not only did like my energy get low by not going to the gym or doing the things that I loved, I lacked self-esteem and started struggling like a lot with my appearance, which I'm struggling with right now. Like I was editing one of my vlogs the other day and I could see like how much weight I gained here and did not like it. Like immediately toward my stomach and said, okay, I got to do something about it. Like gym 6 days a week. And right now I'm doing, I guess, keto technically. Trying to do low carb to no carb with next to no sugar. I've lost a little bit of weight already in the last few days, a couple of pounds, but I'm slowly getting back to the gym and eating healthier because I have a friend. It's my buddy Instill, one of the greatest people that I know, one of the most positive. But like he has this thing is like when you start eating better and going to the gym, don't think of it as, a goal. Think of it as a lifestyle change. Which I guess is the same thing, but treat it more as a lifestyle change and not as something that you have to do. I don't even know how I'm trying to explain that, but you probably get where I'm going. But like, when I was eating healthy and going to the gym, I wasn't having stomach issues. I was losing weight. I was feeling so good, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I was so energetic. Like I would be so motivated. Like I don't even know how to explain it. It was like some sort of high that you get from going to the gym. I don't know. it's it's a good feeling though. A good version of a high. So I just want to say that, like, if you ever notice that you're doing things that are like out of character, take a look in the mirror and look at yourself. Um, because in the end, the only person that you should be seeking approval from is yourself, not anyone else. Heck, what everybody else, thinks or says. Don't fear making people mad by saying no. Don't change who you are if you are happy with the person that you are, because some of the things uh, that you do, or some of the things that you do change, could be something that makes you unhappy. So just kind of make a list of goals and like in ways that maybe you could better yourself than you were yesterday, but don't change yourself for other people. If you're happy with yourself, if even other like if other people are respectful to you and kind, then that's a good thing. Like, kindness goes a long way, and it costs nothing to do that either. Um, and I'm gonna say this one more time: like, do not do something that you are uncomfortable with, ever. Always say no. If you're in a position where you want to say no, even if you feel like you can't say it. If people get upset with you for doing that, you probably shouldn't have them in your life anyways. Because to me that just means that they're a little bit selfish, or maybe a lot selfish. um Unfortunate, there are a lot of people in this world that are extremely selfish. um but yeah, guys, I just wanted to come and give y'all, a little bit of a diary number 4, and diary entry number 4. I know it's been a few days since I've uploaded one. I'm working on another one, but it's one of those ones that's super dark, and I'm still like working on writing it all out. Technically a script, but it's not a script, because this is just me writing down the things I want to talk about in that diary and like how all that happened. So I keep like a list of things I want to go over, so that like I know what to talk about and I don't get off track too much. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this diary today. Stay beautiful, stay positive, and remember, screw what everybody else thinks of you. Be true to yourself. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Much love.